Morning, James. You're going to shed a bit more light on this for us. If you was Harry Potter, what spell would you recommend? Harry Potter fan?
I am a Harry Potter fan, but I think Erik ten Hag needs a big spell to try and turn things around at United after the first 3 matches.
Because, listen, it's very early in the season to be getting the backing of the hierarchy, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, Omar Berrada and Dan Ashworth spoke to the national press ahead of the match against Liverpool, and at that point, United had won their opening game against Fulham, lost in the dying minutes against Brighton, but 3 points in 3 games isn't a brilliant start. But both Omar Berrada and Dan Ashworth said they absolutely believe in Erik ten Hag. They believe he's the right man to lead Manchester United forward. Both men speaking to the press and making clear that they'll do everything in their powers to help Ten Hag to get United to where they need to be this season. And they feel like United are heading in the right direction as a club. It was a really impressive summer in terms of what they did from a recruitment point of view. But also both men were keen to point out the fact is they only started work at the beginning of July. So they had no say on what happened to Erik ten Hag in the summer, because we know there was a lengthy review process that took place, and they spoke to a number of different candidates over the course of the summer. We can see some of the people they spoke to and considered, like Kieran McKenna at Ipswich, lots of interest in him. They had conversation with Thomas Frank at Brentford, Mauricio Pochettino, so long linked with a job at Manchester United. Thomas Tuchel, they held conversations with him when it became clear he wasn't going to stay on at Bayern Munich. And Roberto De Zerbi, who left Brighton at the back end of last season, now the Marseille head coach. But what the United hierarchy did before Berrada and Dan Ashworth started work is they had a lengthy review about the season last year. United finished 8th in the Premier League table, a negative goal difference. But that victory in the FA Cup final against Manchester City felt like it did turn the tide. I think there was a lot of fan optimism about life under Erik ten Hag after what had been a really difficult first couple of seasons. There were so many injuries last season, which had a real factor for them as well. But we can hear what Omar Berrada has had to say when it comes to Erik ten Hag staying on as Manchester United. And he said that Erik has our full backing and we've worked very closely together. Do we believe in Erik? Absolutely. We're going to continue working very closely with him to help him get the best result out of the team. We think Erik is the right coach for us and we're backing him. And also sporting director Dan Ashworth also said he's enjoying working with Ten Hag. The club will continue to support him in any and every possible way to deliver success for Manchester United. So the hierarchy at Manchester United backing their man despite what has been an already troubling start to the season.
Yeah, very early days, but as you expect, the story is dominating the sporting headlines this morning. How are the newspapers covering it? Yeah,
this is the biggest story in town. So the fallout continued to that 3-0 defeat for Manchester United against Liverpool. David McDonnell, they're saying in the Daily Express, Reds will give Erik more time. He's going to be given more time despite what was a humiliating defeat. Yes, there were individual areas. I'm not sure how much you can blame Erik ten Hag for some of the defensive midfield areas that were made. But also pointing out here as well, the fact is that still Erik ten Hag is one of the favourites to get sacked first this season. So despite having that positive backing in the summer, that 1-year contract extension, it does feel like he does need to get results right soon, or there could be immense pressure on his future at the club. Also in the Star, they picked up on the quotes from Erik ten Hag in the post-match. I think this is always going to come back to haunt him, saying he's not Harry Potter, but it does feel like he needs a quick fix. He needs a spell to try and get United back on track. Time to find that wand, Erik. Given a spell of time to turn things around. David McDonnell here, again, in the Daily Star, saying that despite the fact that it has been a really disappointing start to the season, they backed in the summer, he will be given an opportunity to turn things around. And then also in the Mirror, again, you're getting backed in the morning. So that's good news for Erik ten Hag, getting the unequivocal backing from Omar Berrada and Dan Ashworth. He'll be given time to transform United's season. And we spoke to a couple of journalists last night on Backpages tonight, and they gave their take on Erik ten Hag's future at Manchester United, despite the fact he got that high-profile backing from Omar Berrada and Dan Ashworth.
One thing is absolutely crystal clear is that United have made their choice. They believe in Ten Hag. They think he's the man to go forward, and they've got to give him that time and that support and that backing for the long term, not just the short term. You know, us in the media are always knocking clubs for being too knee jerk, and I do think Ten Hag, bearing in mind his record of winning trophies, the emphasis is clear. He's got to get United back into the Champions League places. United expect nothing less than that. They expect to be dining at the European football's top table. And I do think, even though that backing has come, I'm sure that this season will be judged on whether he gets back into the Champions League or not.
I still think it's going to end in tears with Ten Hag, but not yet. And he might be the bookies' favourite to get the sack. I don't think that will be right. I think one or two will go in front of him. And I really hope it does work out for him and United, but I'm just not sure. There's still so many fundamental issues with that team, and I think Dan Ashworth certainly